Hey everybody, this is Blue from Bad Media. Well, we have a lot to talk about this morning. We have been overrun here on YouTube talking about the Rings of Power, which is Amazon's attempt to bastardize J.R. Tolkien's world for them to make money. Now, this video is mostly targeted towards people like Nerdrotic, just some guy, Heels from Babyface, RK Outpost, and all that. Because these are guys, these are channels that are trying to defend the Lord. They're trying to let people know at Amazon and pretty much around the world that, hey, this is going to be bullshit. That this Rings of Power series is going to be an atrocity. They are creating new characters because they cannot do anything to existing characters to pervert them, to send a message. They are going to enforce their agenda. Now, the problem is they are ready for us. If we make any comments such as like the dwarven women are missing their beards, because they do have beards, then we are considered an istophobe. And so what we have to do is change tactics. They are basically kind of pushing us on the defensive by calling us an istophobe. I think it's time that we put them on the defensive and literally give them enough rope to hang themselves. So Gary and all that, please hear me out on this. I have read almost all of Tolkien's books. I just haven't read Unfinished Tales. Okay, I am no expert. I am no scholar when it comes to the Tolkien world. However, I'm a big fan. Like I said, I've read all the other books. I can hold the movies accountable for their errors. Peter Jackson did a very good job making his trilogy, the first trilogy, Lord of the Rings. Was it perfect? No. Return of the King is missing my favorite part. The part that I paid to see. The part that I wanted to see. And that was the battle. When the Witch King took down Theoden. You know, Theoden's down. He is in bad shape. He is going to die. And Eowyn came and killed the Witch King. But the part that I wanted to see was the speech. Because the Witch King, you know, he was going, no man can kill me, and all that. And then Eowyn, in the book, gave this like 3 or 4 minute speech basically saying, you hurt my dad, motherfucker, you're going down. And killed the Witch King. But in the movie, it's, I am no man. I literally yelled at the screen because it's what I paid to see. So I left The Return of the King disappointed. But anyway, the problem we have here is that Amazon and all of its allies were ready. They're prepared. If we make any comment, they're just going to call us an istophobe. Okay, we know this. And so what we have to do is change tactics. Now, I'm wanting to show you, there it is. A few years ago, oh, well, I should say for the last few years, there's been a lot of people on the left that have been making demands from the RPGs, fantasy RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, okay, in which they were talking about how they are racist, they are sexist, they need to be rewritten, okay? And so a lot of these leftists have been making these demands. This is a small portion to remind you guys of what they were saying. Some of that work may require going back to the drawing board. Eugene Marshall, a white game designer and writer, published a zine that provides alternative character creation rules for D&D's 5th edition, replacing race with ancestry and culture. Race is not a biological reality, he writes. Rather, it's a social concept constructed and employed differently at different times in history and in different places in the world. Because these harmful concepts have no place in our world, they need not to be in the stories we tell with our friends either. Okay? Remember, they were wanting all this rewrite because orcs aren't evil. Okay? Dungeons & Dragons teaches that diversity is a strength, for only a diverse group of adventurers can overcome the many challenges and D&D story presents. Begins Wizards of the Coast diversity statement. But in an unequal world, words such as diversity are loaded. Pushing past the legacy and colonialism is the only way to create a more level playing field. Fantasy should not be an excuse for stories to perpetrate the prejudice that resulted from imperialism. Part of our work will never end, continues the statement, in that at least it is right. Okay? So, for the last few years, they have been making a lot of demands on RPGs, good old tabletop games. I played Rolemaster myself. So, this is my plan, and I would hope that you guys would be interested and help me out on this. So, these leftists, just like the people that work for Amazon, they're pushing this crappy narrative, make them go full woke. I mean, full woke. Okay, so what they were saying is that orcs should not be considered an evil race. Fine, no problem. So let's make sure Amazon follows what these leftists want. Not all orcs are evil, so demand that some orcs fight with the elves. Because, you know, in Tolkien, the orcs were under the control of Sauron. And, you know, they went after and killed elves with passion. So, but the left is saying that not all orcs should be evil. So let's have demand that in some of these scenes that there are orcs in mithril armor and they are fighting with the elves against other orcs and evil elves. Okay? And if they don't provide this in their series, then they're being racist because they are saying that elves are evil. Okay, do you get the idea now? So I have some others here. Magic, you know, if you want to go full of wokeness here, okay, magic is white supremacy, white patriarchy. Because in all of Tolkien's books, the wizards were white. Sauron was white too, remember? And so it seems like you had to be white to be a wizard. And you also had to be an elf or a human to be a wizard, but mostly just an elf. Well, why in the hell can't there be some magical orcs or magical trolls? I think that there should be a part in their series where when the orcs and the elves are fighting each other, and you know how I just said they should be fighting, why can't there be an orc wizard that's able to cast a couple fireballs at the elves? Okay? So maybe there should be a couple orc wizards in there. I mean, it would be white patriarchy if only white people can be wizards. Next, Homosexuality. A lot of these leftists in these books were saying that they need to include homosexuality and not make it a character flaw. Well, I want to see homosexuality then represented in their series. Second, please. So, one of two things. I want to see an orc or troll running into battle with like a purple armband, maybe a rainbow armband. And if they could, maybe have a pink shield to show that they are fighting for orc homosexuality. Okay? And if it was allowed, I want to see two trolls fucking in some ruins after a battle. You know, the battle that they won where they kick some butt, they're celebrating, they come overwhelmed, and two trolls, you know, just decide to go at it, you know, packing fudge. Next one, Mary Sue's. Now, one of the things that's been bothering me also, if you go full woke, is that it only seems to be white girls that get to become Mary Sue's. You know, they close their eyes and all of a sudden they know the Force, like Rey. Well, I would like to see a female troll with size triple D tits running into battle that can do no wrong. I want her charging in and with her very skimpy outfit or chainmail armor, whatever you want to put on her, going through there and killing all these white male dwarves and white male elves and all that. Because the good side should not be the only one that can have a Mary Sue. And now they want to complain about race diversity. They say that we need to have more and more of these races represented. So where will the Asian dwarves be? Okay, since we have to have full diversity now on all dwarves, I demand that there be more than just white and black dwarves. I want there to be some Asian dwarves. And heck, if we're going to do that, by gosh, I want some Native American dwarves involved too. Now, some people might say this won't work, won't be allowed because, you know, it's a trait for white people. But I want to see a blonde dwarf. I want a dwarf warrior out there with his bright blonde hair. Well, you know, basically like Thor, but, you know, his hair's hanging out. Maybe he has some gold and silver beads in his hair. And so when he's charged into battle, you can see his hair flying around and all that. I think that's what's needed. And if they don't have it, that means that Amazon is refusing to follow diversity quotas. Next, you know, dwarves are being, you know, they're getting unfair traits put against them. Okay? If you're going to go full woke, by gosh, there better be a 6-foot-tall dwarf. Yes, because they shouldn't all be short. Maybe every once in a while there is a tall one. Because, you know, we have 7-foot humans, right? I mean, Paul White, you know, a.k.a. the Giant. Well, why can't, or Big Show. So why can't there be a 6-foot-tall dwarf? And if they don't have one, that means that they are being height phobic. Next one. You know, one of the things that Tolkien, you know, described when describing the elves was that they were slender and tall. You know, they were very thin, you know, very picturesque, elegant, and all that. I want to see a 300-pounder. I want to see a 300-pound elf warrior running into battle with his fat going shaking all over the place and charging into battle. And if they don't do it, Amazon is fat phobic. Okay, so they need to have a 300-pound elf warrior. Not these 120-pounders. I want a 300-pounder with a couple good fat rolls going down the battlefield. And the final one that we need to demand from Amazon and all of its allies is a handsome orc or troll. Because in all the movies that we see from Peter Jackson, you know, the orcs have these deformed faces. They got all these scars and all. Well, why can't there be a good-looking orc? Especially if one is fighting with the elves. Why can't we have a good-looking orc in mithril armor? He looks clean and all that, and have him represent the orcs in the elven army. Okay. Because, Battle Galadriel should not be taking all of the focus. Okay? So why can't we have a handsome orc in mithril armor fighting right next to Battle Galadriel? Okay? Now, why would we do this? And here's why. Force them to do reshoots. Okay, if all of a sudden they have to show that they are not racist, that they're not sexist, they would have to do some of their reshoots on certain scenes so that they could have the orcs and elves working together in battle. They will have to have the big-breasted troll, Mary Sue, to show that they're not sexist. Okay? And if they have to do so many reshoots, it's going to cost them money. And let's face it, they got enough money to spend if they're willing to do all this other crap. Let's add to their list. And finally, it's to save Tolkien's worlds. All right. Now, maybe some of you don't know this, but many years ago they made a Fantastic Four movie that was so bad. I made this effects and all that. It was nasty. That it was never released. Okay? If we force Amazon to have to take in all of the wokeness, to take in all of the leftist demands on RPGs and such, we could make that movie such a mockery, such a joke, that they never want to release it. Because it would be an embarrassment if everybody's just laughing, hey, here comes the Mary Sue troll, charging into battle and all that. And, there's going to be so many people laughing at it, it will embarrass them. And they will not want to release the movie. And if they do not release the movie, there will be millions and millions of dollars wasted. So, anyway, Gary and everybody else out there that's trying to fight to save Tolkien, please consider changing your tactic and let's make Amazon feel that they're being racist and sexist because they will not allow the Mary Sue troll into battle. Everybody else, please take care. Be at peace.